So they finally got rid of the curfew in Korea, guys. And for those of you that may not know, or for those of you that have been to Korea, you know how shitty the curfew is, guys. And it just says that we have to be in our rooms or on base from 1 to 5, right? We can't be out in the local population of Korea, you know, which is really shitty, right? Because people want to explore, people want to stay out late, people want to party, things like that, right? But we're going to get into the full story right after we roll the intro.
I'll still be there for you.
Alright guys, so like I just said, right, the curfew in Korea is officially lifted, right? It officially went through December 17th, right? I got the article right here just to reference it, just to give you all the best information, right? And so pretty much it's U.S. Forces Korea announced it was ending the curfew for nearly 28,500 troops stationed in South Korea effective December 17th, right? And pretty much it goes into like a background of like what the curfew is about, things like that, right? So pretty much it was just a curfew where you had to be in your hotel rooms or on base in your barracks between the hours of 1 to 5 a.m., right? Meaning we had to be in before 1 o'clock, pretty much. Like we'd have these like staff duty or CQ would have to call the the leadership, let everybody know like, yeah, we're up for the night, everybody's in, things like that. So it would put a real damper on your day if you're trying to go out and party in the Ville, or you're trying to go sightsee at night, or there's like specific events going on at night. You had to adjust for time to hit the trains, make sure you were on track, en route, making sure you were gonna make it in before 1 o'clock, right? Because you start getting messages around like 12:30. It's like, yo, where you at? You're not signed in, things like that. It was just a giant like wrench in the plans, guys. Like, it sucked. It was very inconvenient, and now that it's lifted, that should change, right? So that's just the curfew in a nutshell, right? So pretty much, right? They were on a trial run for 90 days back in June. Like right when I left, like a week later, they made it to where they were doing a trial run, pretty much like no curfew. Like, hey, let's go see how these soldiers act out there in the, in Korea at night with like no curfew in place. And I was there from like October 2018 to June 2019, and literally, like I said, the week right after I left Korea, they took away the curfew. So it was very shitty, right? But yeah, so they did those 90 days, right? And they had some hiccups and things like that. And then they were like, you know what, let's give it another 90 days, right? So they were like, I want to say it was like September, they like renewed it for like another 90 days. And so now General Abrams, right? He's the general in charge, the Korean commander, things like that. And he just said, you know what, like, hey, we came to the decision that we're going to get rid of the curfew, right? And so pretty much it says, here's a quote, it says, after assessing the curfew data and consulting with the USFK leaders, including component commanders, I decided to end the curfew effective December 17th of this year, 2019, guys. Pretty much the 180-day curfew suspension enabled leaders at all levels of the chain of command to recommend keeping the curfew, continuing the suspension, or ending the curfew. All recommended its termination. So pretty much they had 3 different options, right? They could either keep the curfew in place, they could extend the suspension, or keep the suspension, meaning like, oh, like the curfew isn't in place, but it could be implemented back again at any time, or they could terminate the curfew altogether. And pretty much unanimously, they ended up terminating the curfew, guys, for a bunch of reasons. And they were right to do so, like, because it goes in, the article pretty much goes into why they decided to terminate it. But pretty much, guys, like, it just helps with morale. It helps boost, the overall environment that you're in, right? Because if you're working long hours over there in Korea, you're doing stuff, you're training, like, you want to go out, you want to party, you want to go see the surrounding environment that you're in, right? And one of the main reasons they implemented the curfew in the first place was after 9/11, and so now that things have sort of died down, and they've realized what impact it's had on the soldiers all together, and that they can like handle themselves as adults and in the Korean culture and outside in the towns, things like that. you know, they were like, hey, you know what, let's do away with it. You know, we don't need it anymore. And so pretty much, right, that's the gist of the article. It goes in to say how back in July, a U.S. soldier in South Korea allegedly attempted to steal a taxi and hit a Korean national police officer. The soldier was allegedly out drinking with friends the night of the incident, right? And you would have thought that, like, oh man, we just had this big incident after curfew was lifted, you know, we're putting the curfew back. But no. The general went on to say, right, leaders are responsible for our service members on and off post conduct. We are ambassadors of the USFK and the United States of the U.S. Republic of Korea Alliance to the Korean people, Abrams said in the release. We have a solemn responsibility to keep readiness at its highest levels with a fight tonight posture. I'll go into that in a second. Approach and mentality, right? Our capability and capacity to remain ready at all times is non-negotiable, Abrams said in the release. And pretty much, guys, like another reason they had the curfew was the fight tonight policy or saying. People would go around yelling that all the time. Fight tonight. It just means that you have to be ready, like at the drop of a hat, like to get your bags, load up, be ready to go into something should something pop off. We had a bunch of EDRI drills, you know, where we had to like practice being ready. Like we had to get spun up, just be able to react to a call should one come in, and things like that. And so that was another reason, because if you're off, you know, out there in Korea, you know, and you're in Seoul, you're in Hongdae, things like that, like it's gonna throw some, you know, a wrench into the timeline, whether if you guys have to like be spun up and things like that. But overall, from the article, guys, it's super, super good news, right? I wish I was there when the curfew was lifted. That would have been wild. Would have been a good time. I feel like a lot of the soldiers wouldn't have been as low on morale as they were. But, you know, hey, good for anybody that's stationed in Korea. That's awesome. I really hope they use the no curfew to the full extent that they can, right? Go see places. For those of you that are thinking of joining, or for those of you that are already in and you just got orders to Korea, or for those of you that might want to go to Korea, I have a bunch of videos on my channel. I say a bunch, but it's only like 3. They're like vlog videos of just me and my homies going around town, going to museums, eating at places, things like that, guys. So they're more of like things you can do in Korea. But if you guys want more videos talking about specifically how is Korea, what's it like, what are the bases like in Korea, what are the rooms like in Korea, just a whole like Korea series, guys, if you want that, just comment down Korea down in the comment section below. I'll be sure to make it happen, right? And also, if you're new here, subscribe to the channel right now, guys. Show that love, right? I give you guys some good information every now and then. I think I'm pretty funny, and you know, what's stopping you from subscribing, right? I really appreciate y'all tuning in. Again, if you guys want to see my Korea videos, feel free to click here, and you know, maybe down here. I'll put them there for you guys. Thank y'all. I'll see you on the next one. Later.